Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Cole. Today we're going to talk about the college football playoff last night and everything crazy that happened, because there are a lot of topics to discuss about those games, like Joe Burrow just going absolutely off, and Clemson coming back and winning versus Ohio State, and one of the best college football playoff games I've ever seen. So make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel and follow me on Twitter for even more updates going on in the sports world, and let's get into this. So, if you were watching the college football playoff last night, things got crazy, especially in the second game. But where I want to start is in the first game versus number 1 LSU and number 4 Oklahoma, who went to battle in Atlanta in the Peach Bowl. But let's start with this. Oklahoma's defense is still not up to the level to win versus the top 3. Every year this happens, and LSU, despite their defense not being elite this year, at least held them early in the game, and they only let up 1 touchdown each quarter. But in the first half, Oklahoma let up 49 points. LSU was almost on pace to score 100 points, and keep that in mind. So the talk of Oklahoma's defense is dead because they just got absolutely lit up. But it doesn't help because their offense couldn't do anything all game either. I expected a big game out of Jalen Hurts just because I didn't think LSU's defense was going to dominate like they did early, and Jalen had no time to pass at all during the game, and CeeDee Lamb only had 4 catches. Now he did get 119 yards, but he didn't even get a touchdown, so it was kind of surprising to see him get locked up. Now, it's going to be interesting if Lincoln Riley jumps to the NFL after this game, or if he comes back to Oklahoma. He makes so much at OU, so I don't even know if he would leave, unless it's honestly probably the Dallas Cowboys. But that's just speculation. I really do feel bad for Jalen Hurts because he's a really good guy and he deserves to win a title as a starter and obviously finish the job as the starter. But that's just how life works sometimes. And it was fun to see him play this year, and his draft stock really rose a lot this year. So much so that he will probably get a really good shot at the next level as well. But you know what? I got to give it to LSU. They showed up and played incredible. Obviously, their offensive coordinator had his daughter-in-law pass away before the game started. And you know what? LSU played with heavy hearts and they played for their coach. And sitting with him in the press box, wide receivers and passing game coordinator Joe Brady had some great designs on their passing game. And obviously, Joe Burrow had guys open, and he basically got everybody open on their first read. So he had a lot of good reads, and Joe Burrow, he played unbelievable. Also, Coach O did another masterful job, and I was excited to see him win this game because it wasn't long ago he was on the chopping block. So it's great to see him win this game, and especially for the program. LSU looked really legit today as a team. Justin Jefferson had his stock rise today because the man had 4 touchdowns, 14 receptions, and 227 yards. This man made CeeDee Lamb look like he was a second-day draft pick compared to what he did. Now, I obviously am not going to overreact, but Jefferson did look unstoppable. But the man giving him the ball, Joe Burrow, he just went off. Joe had 29 completions on 39 attempts, 493 yards passing, and 8 total touchdowns. And if you are the Cincinnati Bengals, you can't be more pleased. Joe looked freaking good. He had obviously the best college football playoff performance ever. And Joe broke 5 records. Justin Jefferson broke 2 records, and LSU broke 3 records as a team. And if you told me LSU was going to score 63 points yesterday, I would have never believed it. And obviously, here we are. Even LSU's defense looked really good on most drives. To start out, they were all over Oklahoma, and Hurts had no time to throw. So that's a huge positive heading into next week. Now, LSU gets to go back home and practice and then travel to New Orleans to fight for the national championship. And the last 3 times the national title was in New Orleans, LSU played in all 3. In 2012, they lost to Alabama 21-0. Then in 2007, they beat Ohio State 38-24. And finally in 2003, LSU beat Oklahoma 21-14. So if the title is in New Orleans, LSU is going to be there. And after beating Oklahoma 63-28, and for the first time in the playoff era, LSU has made the playoff and going into the title, which is in New Orleans for the first time in playoff history. Now for who they will be playing. Well, number 2 Ohio State, number 3 Clemson battled out in the desert, and Arizona for the Fiesta Bowl. This game was really good, and I was watching it around a bunch of Ohio State fans at Buffalo Wild Wings, and they were all chanting OH, and then they would go IO, and I was in hell. And the game started off with OSU going off, and they were up 16-0, and Clemson was kind of stunned, and it just felt like, oh my god, Clemson is about to get smoked. Fields looked really good in the first half. J.K. Dobbins was flying all over them, and he was picking up blocks, and god, he's going to be so good in the NFL because he can pass block, and that run that gave them the first touchdown, you were just wondering what the heck was going to happen. Because Higgins got hurt for Clemson, they missed a kick, and OSU was flying all over them, and their defense was holding their end as well. And then Dobbins had that other long run, and Austin Mack had an incredible catch, but the problem was they had to settle for field goals in both those drives, and that's honestly why OSU lost. Clemson had their backs against the wall, and Lawrence was taking hits, and he took a hard hit, and he went down, and OSU was losing their minds thinking they had it. But Shaun Wade got ejected for the hit, and the tide turned, and Travis Etienne got a touchdown. And then from the 33-yard line, Trevor Lawrence had a monster run for a touchdown, and Clemson was back and alive after that. And Trevor, this game showed up big time. The run he made, and even most of the passes he made were perfect. And all of them were really clutch. But the problem I think for OSU was honestly the injuries, because Fields looked good early, but he didn't look right. And then Dobbins got hurt, which made them one-dimensional. And OSU just made more small mistakes all game, like when they hit the punter, and Clemson just had more time to make big plays, and ETN got another touchdown off that drive, and then Clemson took the lead. And even though Clemson got all the momentum and were getting turnovers, Fields kept battling and threw another touchdown, and they went up 23-21, but touchdown Trevor drove Clemson down the field and got a touchdown with 1:49 left, and they went up 6. And OSU even drove down the field, but Brent Venables and his defense did bend, but they didn't break. And on a heartbreaking last play, Fields threw a pick because of a miscommunication with his receiver, and Clemson is going on to the title game, winning the game 29-23. Now that was a lot of information, but I gotta give it to Dabo because they kept battling and they made less mental mistakes and just looked like the more prepared team during the big moments in the game that could turn the game. Trevor Lawrence played like the number 1 pick next year. He made all the huge throws he needed to, he played with incredible poise, and he could run the ball when he had to, and he could take a few hits. I actually do kind of feel for OSU though. I feel like if they were healthy, they would have won, but they lost all the momentum, and they just didn't have an answer. But the good thing is, obviously, Fields is coming back next year for them. And they have the best basketball team in college basketball right now, so OSU will be fine. But now on January 13th in New Orleans, we have a battle of LSU versus Clemson for the title. And this is going to be a battle of this year's number 1 pick versus next year's number 1 pick. So it's going to be fascinating to watch, and I believe it will be the best national title game we've seen based on talent. And LSU is a team everyone can cheer for. So honestly, my prediction, I have LSU winning because they look so complete versus Oklahoma, and I really want them to win. But it should be an incredible game to watch no matter what. So click here for my video about LSU football, and click here if you want to hear my story about what happened to Tennessee football. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the games yesterday, and I will see you in the next video, and go tweet at me and I will talk to you over there.